All right, guys. So we're going to get another tournament in. So I can talk to you guys. Otherwise, I was going to play some matches, but I want to focus. So I was reading an article, and then I saw several videos, and basically people piggyback off of each other with the stories, and they like to add their own little twist to what was actually said, and people end up not knowing exactly what was 100% true and what wasn't. you know, I think people make too much out of these situations. Like I said, I do these things for fun, and I like to enjoy myself. So this is that part of the day where you come home, have a kick back, and just relax. And I'm not focused on. I live a beautiful life anyway, but you always have ups and downs and things happen. But I'm not focused on any negativity or any of that stuff, man. I'm just, here to have fun, man. Okay. Now, this all being said, right? I was reading an article where Tony Khan's plan for this game was, he said, at least 6 years. Now, I heard people say between 4 to 6 years, and they're probably basing that on outside of like WWE, how certain games were made, or, it was never like just back to back. But Tony Khan, 6 years. Kenny Omega said the same thing, like maybe like a good 6 years or more. He talked about Fire Pro and how Fire Pro Wrestling. Now, this is coming from them, not from some uh, podcast or somebody else's channel. This is coming from them. So, when I showed you guys even the clip of Tony Khan saying he wanted to support this game for a very, very long time, keeping the game updated and, constantly bringing new content. That is the initial plan. I've also heard people make up lies and say things like, you know, uh, oh, the game didn't sell that well and they were unhappy. That's BS. This game sold very well. Very well. And pretty much Tony Khan out of his own mouth said he was very happy with what they were able to do. More than satisfied with it. Now, the problem is between AEW and Ukes. Or should I say, Tony, well, even Kenny Omega has said that Kenny Omega had even said out of his own mouth that he felt like Ukes was trying to take advantage of his inexperience. So bottom line, there's just been issues between, I don't know to say Tony Khan so much, but whoever was involved with the process of making the game, we know Evil Uno was involved. He never really said too much about anything, just what was coming up and things like that. And people wanted to see Evil Uno in the game. But if you guys remember the words that Tony Khan spoke, this is exactly what I was talking about from the very beginning. That the plans was long term. So he didn't plan on doing 5 seasons and then or 4 seasons and then okay, that's it. The plan was long term, and the issue with Ukes, what Tony Khan, what I've also read too was that they own the engine for this game. Now, for the people that's so hell bent on saying, oh, but they should just, that they should just basically, make a second game. If you notice, I've seen several channels made a video saying, great news, this is huge news. AEW Fight Forever 2 is in the making. Based on what? You can't find one video of anybody within AEW games or anybody within AEW telling you that there's a new game in the works. Nowhere can you find that. So this is the expectations that people have, and like I said, people will tell you anything just to get you to, hit that like button, that subscribe button, and knowing damn well nobody has told them that. Now, this being all this being said, in long term, like Fire Pro Wrestling is still doing like sending like. Well, I know a lot of people, they have people that make these mods and all of that, but basically there's still people making Fire Pro Wrestling videos. So that was the initial plan. Now, what exactly the issues are, these are not things that they really spoke about so much. So there's no actual details that we know of that what the actual situation is. Now, the fact that they own the engine, they can take this game, okay, and they can say, you know what, let's build on top of what we have, or we can make a new game. My thing with them making a new game is this: if you're going to make a new game, right, and let's say it's a continuation of Fight Forever 2, if it's the same exact engine and it looks the same graphically, I guess what's the purpose of that? Now, if they were going to go into, say, making a game, if you want to call it more of a simulation, right? Okay, then we're talking about a different game. We're not even talking about an extension of Fight Forever. We're talking about a new game, period. So therefore, when I hear people say that, and they keep coming up with these narratives about the game, a new game coming out, I'm just looking at them trying to understand, where when you look at business, where, oh wait, I want Seth Rollins. You know how Seth Rollins wear these weird outfits and costumes and stuff, right? So like he dressed weird, man. So yeah, I put him in something weird too. That's Seth Rollins for you. So what I'm looking at is, the people that are saying these things, I still stand on what I said. What they're going to do is what they're going to do. If they do anything at all, do they pack it up and say, okay, you know what, we did, and that's it? I don't know, because I've also heard people say, which I don't know that this is the case though, but I've heard people say that they're saying maybe they'll stick to the mobile games and don't do console games or whatever. Well, it doesn't make a difference if you're doing console games or mobile games. You have to give the people what they want in order for them to keep coming back. So my thing with them not building on top of this, to me, it's giving up. It's a waste of effort for this simple fact. This is a very solid game that they need to just, first off, bug fixes, and there's things that they can still do with this game, and they can pick right up where they left off and basically have more material ready. That will be the easy thing. Now, in terms of the budget and what Tony wants to do or not want to do, that's what it comes down to. It's up to Tony. So if Tony doesn't have belief in the company, if Tony feels like, you know what, nah, I'm done, we're good, then that's up to him. But initially, you heard what Tony said, and pretty much, yeah, they were talking about at least a good 6 years of content. Well, when you look at all these other games that you hear is supposed to happen, right? But nothing's happened yet. Like, let's get and AEW can take advantage of all of this in a positive way. Like, let's be real. We keep hearing about Ultra Pro. And if you guys notice, every couple of months, somebody will make a video just showing you the roster. Even when nobody else new is included, they just keep showing you the roster. And it's like, okay, you keep showing the same thing over and over. Okay, they have a roster of X amount of people. Okay, fine. When is the game coming out? You understand what I'm saying? They can't tell you that. And the reasons that people try to keep things covered up and try to make you think that the game is more, more successful than what it is, like the progression of creating the game, is they don't want people to get turned away. Let's throw Triple H in there. Okay, they don't want people to get turned away. They want people to not look at the game and start to worry that the game is not going to be as good. Listen, they are giving you no updates. They're giving you no visuals of anything. If you guys truly believe in your hearts that Ultra Pro Wrestling is going to be this flawless, nothing can go wrong, oh, they're making sure that the game is perfect, okay, you can believe that. I'm not into the negativity. What I am saying to you guys is use your common sense. Do you really think that this game is progressing the way they want and they're not showing you anything? The same people that have a Patreon that's saying if you want to see the progression, right, follow the Patreon, because they're trying to raise money to help add to what they're building with this game. And do you see the numbers that they have on their channel, their viewership and all? Okay, nobody's paying them to go and watch what they're doing behind the scenes. That's not what's happening here. So therefore, you guys have to use common sense. The pace is a lot slower simply because what they need to do in making this game successful, you want to put Hercules in there, and making this game successful, it's costing. It's costing. This is an independent guy. It's only one guy. It's one guy. So let's just say, and people are saying they're probably going to release it by Christmas. Maybe. But it's November 1st today. Christmas is next month. So this is something you want to get out there early. Why do companies not learn? Do not advertise a game that's not coming out for another 2-3 years, another 3 or 4 years. It makes zero sense to do that. Right? It makes zero sense to do that. So I say for AEW, they could very easily sit back and look at this and say, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to add a season 5 and we're going to keep building on. We're going to continue. Find a new company. Go outside of Ukes. Look at what you already have done and then proceed. That would be the easiest thing to do. Okay, Okada, we're going to go with him. You know, that would be the easiest thing to do. And when you look at it, all of these other games that people keep crossing their fingers hoping come out and they're saying things like, yeah, take your time, so when it comes out, it's done right. And you guys don't sit and look and think. It's been 4 damn years now. And they're still talking about this particular game coming out. Like, what else has to happen, right? Ultra Violence. Then they have this other game that they were showing. Like, all of these games, look, understand something. These games, like, people think this is automatically an interest in something because of the genre, right? You got to always understand, any game that comes out knows that it's going to be difficult to get the wrestling game fans to really jump ship from 2K, aside from those that are dedicated to it. You have, them with this stupid ass Pledge of Allegiance nonsense, like slaves to the damn, WWE logo and all that. It's like they'll look just to criticize. So they want to try to make a game that doesn't remind you anything of WWE. The problem is these games, when you lack match types, right? When you're not putting out something that, like, just say, for example, how this game has the Exploding Barbed Wire match. Okay. I said before, if I had a choice, Steel Cage versus Exploding Barbed Wire, I would more than likely go with the Exploding Barbed Wire. It's different, and it's something that you just don't get that match. So I wouldn't mind having a cage match. No, it's another option. But if I had a choice, which one? I'd take the Exploding Barbed Wire match. Now, let's say they came out and said, let's do an Exploding Barbed Wire cage match. How different would that be? And what I'm seeing with the mindsets of these other, these people amongst these wrestling companies, these wrestling games that they're making, they lack vision, man. Everything is all about ragdoll effect or just being able to do some really crazy, like sick type moves. Okay, but what about the wrestling itself? What about the game itself? What about the modes and just, the replay value? This is where I feel like, people are lacking in their imagination. And so, even if for the people that's complaining about 2K, 2K still has a whole lot more features than all these other wrestling games out there. So for them to compete with it is going to take more than just doing some, really exciting moves. And after about 2 weeks, good, and they're like, all right, I'm used to it already. All right, we need something else. This is just the mindset of the people. So when these companies are telling you that a game is on the way and it's been 4 damn years and you guys are still crossing your fingers saying, I can't wait, every couple of months, like I said, is always that little chubby guy for Ultra Pro. He sits there in front of his computer. Not to shame the guy, just saying this is what he does. He sits there and he'll sit there and talk about indirectly about what he heard. He can't repeat this, he can't say this and this. So he basically tell you much of nothing other than there's a delay. And then all of a sudden here you go with people making videos to show you the roster. Like, yeah, we've seen the roster a million times. We don't need a new video just to see something we've already saw, right? So this is where now, and if you look, more people are making fight forever videos is just like in the very beginning. So now it's like, if Tony Khan is really being smart and being on top of his game, he'd understand, hey, listen, we still have a solid thing here. If right now you got an announcement saying season 5 for Fight Forever, do you know how many people, especially now that it's on all major platforms as well? All of these different people will say, hey, you know what? All right, cool. I can't wait to see what they have. Look, Mercedes Moné, her face was scanned. What's her name? Paige, whatever. Her face was scanned. Okada's face was scanned. Will Ospreay's face was scanned. Do you see them on this game? So it's obvious. We know what the plans were. For them to make, and let's look at it. Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, MVP, just joined AEW. Camille has joined AEW. I mean, there's so much that they can, look, they could, and listen, here's the thing about it, is right off the bat, they can go to a whole different company. They can build off of what they have, and they can put those same people that they already scanned and had planned to be on the game. They can take those same people, add them to the game, and they can also start to add the newer people that just came. At some point, if they decide they want to make a second game, it's not going to be anytime soon. And even if they was to start on it, it's going to be probably a good 3 years, 2.5, 3 years before the game will be released. This is why I said they own this engine. For what? For you to own the engine means you have plans to further what they're doing. So we may very well one day, soon, find out that, yep, they're going to pick up where they left off. They may decide to do another game. They may take a break for a while. Who knows? We don't know. But my thing is, when you see that you have a good thing, forget Ukes if that's the case. Like I said, find another company. And hey, man, listen, you guys are already in a position where once this, and all of the people that made the stupid comments about, I only got this game because it was free for PlayStation. I'm like, well, you don't have the whole game, idiot. So you have the base game. So, all of this ignorance, if the game sucked, I don't care if a game is free and they had everything unlocked. If it's garbage, why would I want it? Why would I want to sit here and take my time to sit up and play something just that I've been complaining about? People know that this is a very fun game to play. And people have gotten used to having more match types and things like that. And all of this stems from what 2K has been doing. So all of these other games that people are saying they want to see, we all want to see them. But I'm not sitting here crossing my fingers waiting for it. I'm not crossing my fingers waiting for more Fight Forever content. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like I said, this is just something I do for fun, something that you make videos and hope that people just like the videos, man. Throw the video on, kick back and just relax, chill. This is what I do it for. I don't, I'm not into all of this Just running around, poking my lips out like a 5-year-old. I'm angry because, they didn't make this or they didn't make that. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. And then you also get used to Fight Forever have different type of customizations for their arenas, for their clothing, all that, and so the game already has its own feel, and they already have their own zone. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know where Tony stands with all of this because, like I said, these are things that the things that I saw and read came directly from Tony Khan, Kenny Omega. But what I've been hearing, hey, we'll just have to see. And yeah, I would definitely take advantage. Definitely take advantage of where they are right now. I mean, hell, look, Retromania, what these guys finally started doing. And I said one of their comment sections one day, I said, man, if you guys at least keep us posted with, just different content, even short videos, that would at least let people know you guys are still here, because I got to the point I felt like, yeah, it's done. 3 years. And then finally they come back out, and it's been super long, where we're supposed to get Magnum TA, Demolition, and the Rock and Roll Express, and a new arena, and 2 new match types. Now, I don't know if they're waiting and it's going to be done by Christmas, if it's going to be done after Christmas. But what they've been doing, they'll do like a birthday shout out to somebody that's on the game. They'll, on this day, such and such won his first title at, the ECW arena, or, something like that. So they've been posting things a little more frequently, not so much with the future of the game. They've already done that twice since they've made it known that they have more DLCs coming in, another arena and 2 more match types. So if they can do it, there's no reason why Tony Khan and AEW games can't continue on with what they have. And why would you own the engine of a game just to turn around and just abandon it? That's just completely stupid. You know what I mean? So yeah, I stand, like I said, and this is only common sense, man. But like I said, I don't know how important it is to Tony Khan, because he's the one, cutting the check for it, so it's up to him. But his plan initially was to make a game that they're going to update for at least a good 6 years. And listen, here's the thing, right? We don't have any updates on any other video game. No new footage, no nothing. All you get is like a little screenshot or something but nothing new. And someone pointing out, oh, see how on this side, on this shot, you can see the entrance ramp is over here, but if you look over here, the entrance ramp is the other way, and the crowd looks a little bit bigger. And they're just making conversation about the game, but it's telling you nothing about how close they are to a finished product. I just don't think that it's wise to announce a game, like I said, and then it's not even anywhere near being finished. Announcing it is one thing, but once you get to the point where you start showing a roster, you start talking about you can do this and you can do that, and then all of this time goes by and there's nothing new, at some point the interest starts to wear off. It really does. And then you have to think, why did I announce this game already? And it's been 3-4 years and we still haven't showed the people anything. And the last thing that we were able to say was there was a delay. And then the other video game, I even forget the name of that one. But they only have 2 videos. I saw a boxing game where these people had on headgear and everything, looked like they were like sparring. And people started making videos about that game. And I said, there's only so many videos you can make about something that's like 30 seconds long. We know nothing of this game. They have a freestyle wrestling game that I saw and never seen any. I saw the one video and seen nothing else. It's taking these companies a lot longer to make these games now. So I feel like you really just don't get your hopes up high for anything. Just hear what you hear, see what you see, and when it happens, it happens. That's my approach to it. They have a boxing game called Bloody Knuckles. Now, There's people that play this game and they do their own commentary to the game. I like the potential of the game, but the game is available only on Steam. And I feel like the game was rushed, because when I look at what you can do in the game, when I look at the movement of the game, it's clunky. No matter how much you know what you're doing in the game, it's like you have to fight a repetitive style to win. It's just like, one would say, like, it's not quite like playing chess, kind of like playing checkers somewhat. It's just like, for one, if you're not familiar with Bloody Knuckles, it's an underground, like, urban style street boxing game. I saw one venue of one where you're fighting in the locker room, and then you're like in this gym. I haven't seen multiple gyms. I haven't seen different body types. I haven't seen different heights. I haven't seen different reach lengths and all that. I haven't seen that. Everybody had the same face, same haircut, whatever. So, same body type. They're all wearing hoodies and sweatpants. I did see a version of people wearing head guards and the headgear can get knocked out. They have this rage mode, like where you go into this rage, and I guess you can inflict more damage when you go into your rage. One of the things about the game is no actual footwork. When they talk about footwork, they're talking about off the pivot, with basically you're limited to just inside fighting. So what I mean, you have to fight pretty much the same type of style every time. And to take footwork away from boxing when it's a huge part of boxing, everybody's just flat-footed and they move the same speed. And, I just feel like with the potential that the game had, the game is lacking. So when the game is solely on, like if Fire Pro Wrestling, I know it's on a PS4 or PS3 or whatever. It's on one, like, and also on PC. If Fire Pro was on an Xbox, if it was on the Switch, people would download that game. They would buy that game right now, because it's been around for a long time, but we never had a chance to own it. And that's with anything that you make. You have to think, like, I want everybody to have access to this game. So when I see games like Bloody Knuckles, it's like, man, and this is the problem. You keep seeing games that have potential, but just something's missing. This is the situation with this particular game, Bloody Knuckles. And I feel like what they're doing is the same thing that the people at Steel City, people was comparing it to Fight Night Champions and trying to tell you that Undisputed is better than Fight Night Champions, when I'm saying, well, you're comparing your new game to a game that came out in 2011, and that game is still in heavy rotation. And if you really look at it, far more people like that better than they like Undisputed. And Undisputed is getting nothing but complaints right now. And now, the people that's playing Bloody Knuckles are telling you, oh, this is far better than Undisputed. Undisputed can't touch this game. Okay, fine. But we don't need to compare. Everything can coexist. It's not about that. If it's about making a choice, then okay, make that choice. But at the same time, it's like, for me, I don't think Undisputed is worth $80. I don't think it's worth $60. It does have a certain fun factor, like I said. But overall, the game is like, it's just not worth the money. I bought it. The money didn't hurt my pockets. But at the same time, it's really not worth. And here's the thing, though. I knew before I bought it what I was getting. I already knew. I could see the mechanics of the game, what they'll polish and fix. Good. Like one of the things that I saw that they finally changed was in career mode. I watched someone fight. I started a career mode with Terry Norris. I created Terry Norris, and I started a career mode with him on Undisputed. And right now, I'm at, I think, 66% overall. So I have a while to go. My character's 25 now. And pretty much, the most I've seen you make a created fighter was 81. The highest on Undisputed is Muhammad Ali at 93. I don't know if you can create someone or fight to the... I guess you can. If you fight well enough. I don't know if you can get to a 93 or the highest you can get to is 91. Because next to Ali, that's the highest, is 91. And but I saw someone playing Undisputed. I think it was this guy Marshall Mind, and what they did do is they had like when you win, it just has this little cartoon title belt up there that says you know you're the winner, you're the champion. Now they have a celebration of when you win, you have your belt, and then they have the guy that comes in the ring and bring the belt to you. So you have your cornerman standing over there holding one of your belts or whatever. So at least you get that celebration now. But I look at the potential of all these games, man, and my whole thing is you want them to do the best job that they can. So when when you factor in, like I said, all of these games, like how long we've been hearing that we're gonna get a new Red Dead Redemption, a new GTA, right? All of these different games they keep telling you that's coming out, and it's been years and nothing new. So you want the game to be right, but when it take you this long to finally come out with the game that you talked about 3-4 years ago, because let's not forget the same year that Fight Forever came out, the same time around the announcement, I remember I watched the video someone had where they were basically showing you 10 brand new wrestling games coming out in the next year or whatever, and no, none of them came out within that year. But Fight Forever was the one that came out of all the games that they announced. WrestleQuest, which is really not my cup of tea. In all honesty, the whole RPG thing, I mean, you have actual wrestlers that, Randy Savage is on there. I know it's just different people from that 80s era, but I saw them wrestling with 2 actual giant rats. I mean, like silly stuff like that. That's just not for me. Retromania did come out. What else came out? A couple of games. I forget the other one. I actually have the game. It was actually initially a Chikara Pro Wrestling game, and if you were to actually go on YouTube and type in Chikara Pro Wrestling video game trailer, you would see that the graphics look a whole lot different than what they ended up looking like. I don't mind the cel shaded look. I actually like that, but because Chikara Pro Wrestling pretty much went out of business, they couldn't get the license for these particular wrestlers. So they wind up just making up people and had a custom creation suite where you can just download wrestlers that people have created for the game. Now, that is a game that is pure arcade style. And they don't have any like steel cage matches or exploding barbed wire matches, anything like that. They have a battle royal, like 2 versions of a battle royal. 8-man tag match, 6-man, of course, 2-on-2, 3-way, 4-way, 1-on-1. But there's not, and they have a tournament mode. But it's not a whole lot to that game. You can download a lot of different rings, different wrestlers and things like that, but it's very limited, and it's a side-to-side game. I mean, you can go up and down in the ring, but you can only go and up on the top rope on the corner post, far from, towards the top of the screen. It's not like this right here. Retromania, I really love that game too. It's different, but it doesn't have a lot of wrestlers on it. It has no female wrestlers on it. And, they have 2 versions of a cage match. They can do the 8-man, 6-man, 2-on-2. Of course, they have their Retro Rumble. So, yeah, I mean, there are things that each game has that I like, that it stands out in a different way. But at the same time, when you just don't have content on your game, and there was no intentions on putting the content on the game, the problem is when a game is finished, for the most part, that's just what it's going to be. The visions of people is different, and look at professional wrestling as a whole. Pro wrestling has become boring, in all honesty, when it comes to characters. back in the day, man, wrestlers had character. They felt like real live superheroes, and you really got into it more. And they made the storylines were more compelling because of. Even wrestlers that couldn't wrestle that good, they just had the storylines were there, and you were really into it. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. When Papa Shango used to walk out to the ring, people out in the audience was looking terrified. Remember when Jake the Snake had Randy Savage tied up in the ropes, and he let that snake bite him? Yeah. Remember when the Undertaker? No, his name was Jake. Yeah, he buried the Undertaker up to his neck, and then it was like they found that the Warrior did have a weakness, how he was afraid of the coffin and all that stuff. And, what I'm saying, there was just, it just had more of an appeal. In all honesty, man, these wrestlers are all boring as hell, man. They all do the same thing. They all have the same type of, they're either really smug, sarcastic guys, or they're just complete goofballs, or they just do the same thing. Come out breathing all heavy, looking psychotic, and always making the same threats week after week after week. The characters don't stand out. I mean, that was one of the things. I mean, look, for you to have someone like the Mountie, the Big Boss Man, the one-man gang. You had your Road Warriors, you had your Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, you had Doom, you had Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, you had Sting. Like, these guys all just look like characters. They really stood out. Wrestlers now, I'm not being funny, I'm being straight up honest. Adam Cole looked like he should be playing golf. Or making milkshakes at fucking Chick-fil-A or something. Not looking down on Chick-fil-A or nobody's job. Hey, Chick-fil-A, I love you guys. I'm saying he does not look like a fucking wrestler, man. He just doesn't look like a damn wrestler. I mean, Christian Cage has never looked like much of a wrestler either physically, but I mean, at least on that microphone, and Christian can deliver from bell to bell. Adam Cole can wrestle, yes, but it's just not believable. CM Punk, even way back in the TNA days, I just looked at him the same way, like, man, who are these guys? This coming in here looking like they're like 150 pounds, man. Like, who? How? It just doesn't look believable. Rey Mysterio's a small guy, but his look alone, was you on the edge of your seat cheering for Rey to pull off, the win against these much bigger guys. And it got to the point where, yeah, you have women in here fighting men and beating them. So it's wrestling itself just got to the point where you don't see any more Rick Rudes, man. You don't see these things. You don't see any more Hercules Hernandez's. You just don't. You don't see any more Bam Bam Bigelow's. You don't see any more Tony Atlas's. You got guys like Bobby Lashley, Brian Cage. I mean, you could put Drew McIntyre in that, I guess, category of like buff guys and stuff. But I mean, like, it's just far and few. And then you got guys like Drew McIntyre losing to little pipsqueaks like CM Punk. Just saying, it's one of these things. And they're fighting over a freaking bracelet. Like, the wrestling has just gotten to the point where it's like, you watch it because you just truly love pro wrestling. But, a lot of it is like, not that they can't have entertaining storylines, but I mean, just when you look at the majority of these characters, man, they just don't pop. They don't stand out. It's just like, maybe someone who's from this era, maybe someone who's just like 15, 16 years old or something, like that this is all they know. So this is, to them, they don't know about the past. So to them, this is what it is. But for the most part, I just feel like wrestling lacks, man. These characters they don't pop. They do the same silly things. And then the female wrestlers act like a bunch of little nerdy valley girls. All these little silly, goofy laughs. And they're just, that's why I like what they did with Toni Storm. Her character stood out. Mariah May's character it stands out because she's like the rebirth of Toni Storm in a way. And her, she's a snotty little snooty, person that you want to see lose the title. You wanted to see Toni Storm lose it at first, and then you didn't, because it's like she became a face without actually becoming a face. So it was like you want to see her. I just look at like what's going on in wrestling, period, man, and like it just doesn't hit the way it used to. To watch these guys come out and just talk and talk and talk. and then nothing happens, or they do all of this talking, and like, I mean, I'm all about, I like the storyline as well as what happens in the ring. It's not just one or the other. It's having both. I can do without the extra fabricated nonsense, but if you do a storyline right and you have the mindset to keep a consistent style of how you put your stories together and not become stale and repetitive, then fine. But every week these guys come out and they just talk and threaten. The women come out, they just talk and threaten, and it's just like, it's really nothing to it. So when you look at a 2-hour show, you only get like 5 matches. All right, fine. The majority of what people consider storyline is just not appealing. It really isn't. I mean, it may be appealing to like the much younger audience, but overall, it's stale. One of the things I looked at with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, his story was to, finally do in the WWE what his dad couldn't do, what his brother couldn't do. He did it. Cody Rhodes, in my opinion, like, I'm just not intrigued by his title reign at all. His title reign is so stale to me. It's like, okay, he has the title, but he's not in matches that get my attention. Like, I see him, I watch him, and it's like, out of everybody on the show, he has like the weakest storylines. They did the same thing to Bayley. Bayley was holding that women's title, and her storyline was so stale. When Rhea Ripley had the belt, she was more involved in the Judgment Day business, to where, same thing with her. She didn't have a memorable title reign, and then she got injured, and now she's injured again. And this is the type of things what I mean when you have you have these people writing stuff for you, and like, it's just so simple. Like, you could have just went in there and freestyled that, man. I mean, it's so simple. The storylines are not, it is what it is. This is why I prefer for people to just come out and wrestle. If the thing that you're gonna, talk about in the ring doesn't do anything other than just waste time. You know how when Dominic Mysterio was coming out and he would get booed to where the crowd didn't want to let him talk? You know who is the equivalent of Rey Mysterio, of Dominic in AEW? Don Callis. They boo him every time he opened his mouth. They boo. And that's the type of heat that the wrestlers are supposed to have. That's the type of heat that the bad guy, the heel managers are supposed to have. It's like, sometimes you don't even know who's supposed to be the face and who's supposed to be the heel in wrestling. Another guy who, to me, they dropped the ball with was LA Knight, because the fans were so behind this guy to where they just knew he was going to eventually become world champion, not U.S. champion so much, or Intercontinental, even though that's fine to do that first before. But I mean, every time he's supposed to have that big match, and they'd have him lose. Then he finally got the belt, but it's just like he's just fading. And if rumors are true that Triple H called him a ripoff of The Rock and Stone Cold, yeah, Triple H, you're spot on if you said that. But why would you say that? Because that's exactly what he is. But how many other wrestlers are ripoffs or cross between other guys? Of course, the inspiration is there, the influence is there. And LA Knight himself has always said it. Yeah, you can see the swagger of both guys in him. He walks to the ring the same way Stone Cold did. He climbs the ropes and throws his arms up the way The Rock would. And he talks the way both of them. He has Stone Cold's style of talking. He has Stone Cold's type of sarcasm. Okay, and in the ring, stylistically, he's more like The Rock than Stone Cold. But he's like a cross between the both of them. And you could have capitalized on that. And if they had have, who knows? Maybe he might have even became as big as both of them. Who knows? But this is what I mean about professional wrestling, man. Like I can deal with LA Knight's character far more than I can. Like, I'm trying to think of someone. Who is someone that right now? Who is someone that right now they put in the ring and they talk, but it doesn't mean anything. They just like, okay, we know that Hook is a guy that needs to work on his promo skills for sure. Hook definitely needs to work on his promo skills. The less he say, the better. And Brock Lesnar was in that same situation as well. And they had it with Paul Heyman, and Paul spoke for him for a long time. And then when Brock was without Paul, he did okay for himself, man. He was fine without. He was fine without Paul. But there are wrestlers. We know Rob Van Dam was never good with promos. Ricky Steamboat was never good with promos. But they can get it done in the ring. And like now, like this guy Gunther, man, his promos, they suck. His promos really suck. What's the other chick in WWE? Is it Tiffany Stratton is her name? Her promos suck. Anything that she does on that mic just stinks, man. And they're starting to water down Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Because they're acting like a bunch of bougie, stuck up, like, just full of attitude, and they're very childish. It's like a strong level of immaturity. They don't, like grown adults acting like little kids. And it's like, I don't like this. Imagine the Ultimate Warrior and Sting walking around like acting really snooty and like a bunch of prima donnas. This is exactly what's going on in professional wrestling, man. I mean, when I looked at what's the guy name that was in AEW, I don't know if he's still there, and just off camera, Wardlow. Remember, when Wardlow first blew up, AEW could have capitalized on that. That's when Roman Reigns, around the time when he was beefing with Brock Lesnar, and Wardlow was that dude. Anytime you start getting that Goldberg type of chant, that means that, yeah, the fans, they see you as a killer. They see you as that threat. And I don't know what it is about Wardlow. I don't know what it is, where for whatever reason AEW didn't believe in him. I don't know what it is, but Wardlow was on to something, and then I don't know what happened. It's almost like masculine guys in wrestling just don't work anymore. But a dude that has a dent for a chest, no abs, no nothing, they just come in there, oh, he's such an excellent wrestler. Like, man, stop it. Stop it. Some of these, guys that win titles and they don't even look believable. That's why, even though Orange Cassidy isn't the biggest dude, Orange Cassidy, if you look at his look, his gimmick, everything, like Orange Cassidy, this is what I mean, like how you look at Rey Mysterio. No, he's not the biggest dude, but he can go in the ring and you find yourself cheering for him because he gets beat half to death before he wins, just like Orange Cassidy. And the weird thing about professional wrestling is a guy like Orange Cassidy, a guy like Rey Mysterio, for them to go in there and have to like half kill themselves to get a win, but then you can put a female in the ring with the guy and they go in there and it's like the match is going back and forth. It's like, make that make sense. So, yeah, it's not about, criticizing. It's not about, I don't focus on it's not about, hey, this is the popular thing to say. This is what everybody's complaining about. No, I'm saying from my perspective of what I see, I just don't, it's not the same feel, man. Survivor Series used to be my favorite WWE pay-per-view. That changed through time. I would say Halloween Havoc. Starrcade was, I like Starrcade, but through time, like I said, everything is like, it's not always consistent with what show is better than what. So for me, I don't know, Halloween Havoc, I love Halloween Havoc. I love Starrcade was, Super Brawl. I mean, there were always different things that we got into. I can't really say I have a favorite pay-per-view anymore of any company. Just, it's like, okay, it is what it is. Bound for Glory is TNA's biggest, it's their Super Bowl of their shows, and they just had their show. It was at a college gymnasium. They didn't fully sell it out. There was and so, like I said, people that keep talking about this TNA NXT combination, that's good that you enjoy what you see. But like when I said, in terms of business, it's not doing anything different for TNA, and it's not doing anything different for NXT. The numbers are still the same for both shows, and not to mention, if TNA was benefiting from this, they would have sold out Bound for Glory. This is their home run show, and once again, the hatred towards AEW within the wrestling community is so crazy, because you want to know what you didn't see? Now, isn't it funny how years ago, before AEW came into existence, everybody was shooting down TNA? Oh, they only sold X amount of pay-per-views. Oh, they didn't sell out the building. Oh, it wasn't even a big building and they still couldn't sell it out. Notice how they're not talking about what the ratings are of TNA anymore? Notice how they're not talking about the attendance number at these pay-per-views? Nope, they're not doing it. So they only want to do it for AEW. They don't do it for WWE anymore. Like I said, you can go online and pull up ratings, but I mean, as far as these podcasters and people with these different YouTube channels and all, nope. Their intentions is trying to bring down AEW. And I feel like for that, it's really stupid. Back in the day, the same thing. Like, when Vince Sr. was in charge, like, wrestling was wrestling and you had so much of it to watch. And I've never had that mentality, oh, who wants to watch wrestling all day? Well, who the hell wants to watch football all day? Who wants to watch basketball all day? If you're a wrestling fan, why is it that you can watch? I mean, how many basketball games a night do you want to watch? Or can you watch? You understand what I mean? So, yeah, it's just one of these things. I just don't feel the same about wrestling as I used to, And the thing about it is, like, I love what AEW is doing, but at the same time, none of this stuff just doesn't have the same feel. I mean, I remember watching when AEW first came out. It was just like they brought the fun back to wrestling, but it's just a matter of time before, the wrestling haters start finding stuff to complain about. And instead of being able to watch a show week after week and then people just talking about what happened on the show and everybody having a good time, no, what happens? You get a bunch of people complaining. If you look at all of these shows, they always have to find something to complain about with every little situation there is. So my whole thing with that is I stopped watching a lot of things that I used to watch because of the negativity. It just takes the fun away, man. It's almost like, in a way, imagine knowing what you're going to get for Christmas. What's the purpose of wrapping it? Just for the routine of wrapping a gift? But you already know what's in it. So there's no surprise when you get it, right? That's what makes the present even feel that much more special when you open it and it's something you didn't expect. So with wrestling, it's just like, instead of being supporters of wrestling, we can point out things that's, like, I'm pointing out the thing that's making wrestling not fun. I'm pointing out the things that's making wrestling, like, less desirable than it used to be. And these are the types of things that you like for me, I like to attract people that understand, listen, we are on this planet for a short time, man. Your time come and go. And if you want to enjoy yourself, then enjoy yourself. But if you're here to be some little prude that wants to just argue and complain, and then, you that's exactly how your life is going to end up. Old, lonely, and miserable. So, yeah, I'm not into that. But these are things that, remember when they had Power and Glory, Hercules Hernandez and Paul Roma. Remember when Ted DiBiase was trying to make Hercules Hernandez his slave? Like all these different storylines, man. Staying in the Black Scorpion. The story was great. The lead up to it, the build up to it was great. Now, of course, when it turned out that the Black Scorpion was Ric Flair because they couldn't find whoever they needed to really make that impact, it definitely wasn't the same feeling. And I remember it was funny because I remember they had this one episode of, was it Saturday night? Was it WCW Saturday night, or was it a Clash of Champions? I don't remember. And the Black Scorpion was out there. He was, remember you hear that voice, Sting, right? And everybody's looking around the arena. And now, I remember when that would happen. And then Sting's looking around. Sting went and grabbed some guy from the front seat he thought was the Black Scorpion. And he's up in the ring. The Black Scorpion's up on the rampway, military pressing someone. And you can see that whoever they had playing the Black Scorpion, that's why his body was always covered up. I think except for that one time when he military pressed that guy. You can see that whoever this person was, though, had some size on him. So the night of the match, it was just like, man, this is not whoever this Black Scorpion, there's nothing about his style that's different. And I'm watching the match and I'm like, this dude looked way smaller than before. And I knew that wasn't the same person. Well, turns out it was Ric Flair. So that didn't play out the way that they wanted it to. But the story was great. Ultimate Warrior versus Papa Shango had a great lead up. Now, in wrestling it's easy to spot things. We not stupid. We know what's real and what's fake. Well, some of us do. But, like the Ultimate Warrior, when he was up there being interviewed, all of a sudden this black goo starts dripping down his face. He starts yelling Warriors. Now, all of a sudden, this is the first time you saw a Warrior wear a jacket. Yeah, because those little tubes that he had running up his back, up through his hair, because he had very long hair. Yeah, we know. We know that there was no actual spell put on him. But guess what? It was just fun to watch. It was just a different feel. And pretty much wrestling has just changed. And I don't see anybody that really has the understanding of how to get wrestling back to the point where the characters stand out, man. They all just do the same things over and over, and they look the same, and none of these people stand out. Will that change one day? I don't know. But in the meantime, it is what it is, and this is what we get. In closing, I just want to say, we'll see what happens with all of these different games, and hey, I'm just here to have fun. Hope y'all do too. Enjoy the rest of y'all day.